I hope y'all are ready to see something magnificent next. This is a game I personally detest called Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland. It's not that it's a bad game, it's that it's infuriating to run. Rioner now is going to show y'all how easy he can make it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring Rioner on. 1 second, I think I got all this right. Alright, bringing him on. Thanks for watching, y'all. Love you.
Alright, we're live. What's up, TACOthon? Today I'll be running Kirby's Nightmare in Dreamland. This is the remake of Kirby's Adventure for the Game Boy Advance. And, it has a lot of speed tech, and hopefully I can not horribly show it off. Also, Hybrid's here.
Yep, my name is Pro Hybrid. I will be co-commentating for Reiner, because he will be focusing for most of the run. So, welcome. Excited to be doing this.
Alrighty, and we're pretty much ready, so I'll go ahead and start the timer in 3, 2, 1, go.
Alright, and this is the any percent category, so pretty much just beating the game as fast as possible, broken down into 7 worlds and then a final boss stage, each world having anywhere from 4 to 6 levels. Reiner is going to be starting this off right now, trying to inhale these laser Ds back to back. And what he's trying to do here is essentially, if you take 2 enemies in Nightmare and Dreamland and absorb them together, 2 enemies with abilities, you can mix for an ability on a random roulette.
How did I get that?
That is determined on where you start on the mix. So depending on which enemies you mix, you start on a certain area on the roulette. So what Reiner is trying to mix for is wheel. And unfortunately, just a little bit off on the timing there.
If I don't get 3 more.
Ability he wants. Wheel is probably the strongest ability for speedrunning in this game. A little bit off there, getting just hammer. So what he's essentially doing is every time he goes off, he's going to respawn these enemies, because enemies respawn in this game, so by moving on and off screen, he's able to respawn these 2 laser Ds to get wheel.
Buddy. I cannot get this for the life of me. Alright, one more try, and then I'm just YOLOing it.
Alright, one more try.
Alright, I got it.
Awesome. Alright, so
Only
Reiner
took me
got
a
the wheel
minute.
first try. Can't
First
believe
try?
it, first try in a marathon.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, wheel, incredible ability in this game. It gives you a lot of horizontal speed, and it makes you invulnerable while you're using it, so you're able to just breeze by these enemies. So most of this game's routing is devised around keeping wheel for long periods of time. It's not a great ability for bosses, and it's not good for stages with more of a vertical layout, but for most of the horizontal stages, wheel is really incredible. Assuming you don't want to do this wheel, which is more of an advanced strat anyways, Reiner is going to be doing a bunch of advanced strats as he is a pretty flashy runner.
Well, I also haven't played in, like, forever.
That too. One thing you're doing here is a double star. So you temporarily grab wheel, you take 2 of these birds, or these octo birds, and you're just going to use it as a double star, which instantly KOs the boss and then reabsorb wheel. Much quicker, and you're able to keep wheel through that. Just rooms like this, wheel using sparsely just because it's not good for these vertical type of rooms. These gold games at the end of every level, you want to just get a 7, which is the quickest possible outcome. You get a higher score, but it doesn't really matter for this type of run. We just want to get through as fast as possible.
Oops. Something worth mentioning is wheel canceling is basically if you like let go of because usually when you end a wheel there's like a small animation that plays at the end of it, so you can actually cancel it by kind of doing a precise, not really precise, let's just say, but like a little flick on the D-pad while ending the cancel. Also, now we have Burning. I believe this is the 2nd fastest horizontal ability, and it's also way better for bosses, which is one of the reasons why we get it.
There's actually been a recent route change proposed for this game where you keep wheel instead, but it makes some of these sections quite a bit harder and saves a small amount of time even when done optimally. So just using burning for here is still the default route. Because yeah, burning still very good ability in terms of horizontal movement, but yeah, it is a lot better than wheel in terms of actually dealing with both the regular bosses and the big bosses.
Oh, I missed it.
Having the ability handy for this last room, able to breeze through it.
Coming up next is Wispy. This boss is the hardest boss in all of Kirby. And by that, I mean it's really easy with burning. We have to basically set this tree on fire and end its existence. Oops, missed.
Yeah, there's a brief invulnerability every time you hit Wispy, so you need to time it where you're just attacking at the very end of that invulnerability period. You just spam, the attacks don't go through. Reiner is lucky to have made it out of there alive.
Yes, it's very hard. Alright, now in World 2, Ice Cream Island. There are some interesting route changes later on, or things I'm going to try doing, but this first level is just going to be using burning a ton and...
You can be careful in this room. We got a couple of these crash enemies. Many of the enemies in this game, their patterns are somewhat random, but there's a couple different things you need to do. So while playing this game, many of the rooms, you essentially need to be able to react to what the different enemies are going to do, depending on what RNG you get. And then this will be, or in this level, we're going to be grabbing the wheel again shortly after this cutscene. We're gonna be jumping on the warp star, then going to another mid-boss.
So, double stars do a lot of damage to bosses, so what we have to do right here is drop burning and then grab it with this, and then shoot it right at this wheelie. And then we get wheel back. We're trying to get carry wheel for as long as possible, which, is gonna be very difficult, but I'm gonna try to in the next level.
The next level, 2-3, or 2-3, has what's called a Meta Knight Arena, which has a whole bunch of these Meta Knight enemies, and the whole goal is to keep wheel, juggle it while getting rid of these enemies. When you drop an ability and it goes into star form, you have about a handful of seconds before the ability evaporates or disappears, so you need to be able to work quickly within that small time frame.
I'm not gonna dodge that fish. You can dodge that fish right there, but it's very difficult, at least for me.
Yeah, it's a pretty tricky level within the wheel movements. If you're not fast in a bunch of sections, you will get hit, so even small mistakes, like there, like if you're not very quick, or if you just, like, get a slight mistake, you get caught and you get hit.
This is the Meta Knight Arena. We're gonna try juggling wheel, like Hybrid was talking about earlier, all the way through it. And we successfully did it. This actually makes a mini-boss in the next level really hard, but it can save a lot of time in the next upcoming rooms versus having new ability.
In the case of those mini bosses, or those like Meta Knight enemies, they're very bulky, so you're able to deal with them a lot quicker by either inhaling and spitting them out, or just swallowing them, as opposed to just damaging them with an ability like Wheel. So yeah, what Reiner's going to be doing is essentially going back and forth, trying to damage this TikTok without getting hit. And unfortunately, if you get a bad pattern, essentially if the TikTok goes into the corner, you're going to... It's really difficult to actually hit it at that point without getting hit yourself. And you have to determine very precise times to be able to do damage there. But pretty good job, still only getting hit once. It's pretty good for that fight.
Trying to... That's a scary level. That TikTok fight is really hard to actually get the wheels precisely on, so getting hit once was actually pretty good for me.
And in 2-5 is another stage where you'd actually would end up grabbing wheel anyways if you weren't to juggle wheel in the Meta Knight Arena, so the routes sort of just converge here.
Yeah, see, those wheel enemies that we just passed, we would have just grabbed a wheel anyway, so it's not the worst thing ever if you like lose wheel. There's a little subpixel thing you can do there to make that, but it rarely happens. But I still go for it for some dumb reason. Oops.
Well, now we get introduced to high jump. One of the coolest abilities in this game, and one of the strongest. Unlike wheel, which is very good horizontally, but it's not so good vertically and versus bosses, high jump is very, very strong for vertical rooms, and is very good against bosses. Although the catch is you need to be very up close to them to do more damage. But of course, obviously increases the risk greatly of getting hit. So we're gonna see this in Paint Roller here. RioynerIs gonna try to get as up close as possible to the boss to do as much damage. Also, you can cancel the wheel animation, or sorry, the high jump animations, allowing you to do them a lot quicker. Important to know.
The cancel on the high jump also does extra damage, which is really good. So it just makes being really close, quick, very fast for bosses.
Butter building is a pretty interesting world. As opposed to most of the worlds, there's a lot of vertical rooms and such, which is one of the reasons why high jump is so good and why you don't really see wheel being used in a world like this. So yeah, on a boss like that, RioynerIs able to stay up close with high jump and do a lot of damage very quickly, although you need to be very careful with your spacing. It's very easy to take hits, and you waste a lot of time having to re-grab your ability. RioynerIs really making it look easy, but butter building is definitely that's a very difficult world of this game, and it takes a lot of time to get good at here with the movements.
This next level is a very big run killer for... Oops.
3-2, very infamous level. A lot of sections that can go wrong, and also one of the most annoying mini-bosses in the game.
This is my least favorite mini-boss in the game.
So yeah, very vertical room layouts, doing a lot of high jump maneuvering here. There's an interesting thing with this mini-boss. There's essentially two different options. You can either opt to use high jump, which is the faster option, and unfortunately, RioynerIs is going to get hit and lose high jump there. So he's going to do the backup option here, which is sword. Some people prefer sword anyway, some people prefer high jump, but high jump is definitely faster.
I prefer high jump because I'm bad at reacting to sword, apparently.
There was a pretty strong debate in the Nightmare and Dreamland community about, people recognize that high jump is faster, but a debate about whether people should be doing high jump or sword for Bugsy 3-2.
That's a death.
And unfortunately, betting ground pound there, taking a death.
There's a reason I put the estimate to 50.
3-2, very infamous level, definitely a noob killer. RioynerIs no noob, but even for advanced players, you never know when Bugsy's gonna get you like that. So we're gonna do this fight powerless. Essentially need to wait until Bugsy spawns these smaller bug enemies, which you can spit back out at him.
So losing your ability, so dying here is just very slow, as you can tell, or losing your ability.
Yeah, losing the ability in a boss section, having to do them powerless, is generally the worst area you can actually lose an ability.
Alright.
We'll see this especially in 7-2 later in the game, which is a big boss rush of 4 different enemies, which becomes very slow if you end up dying throughout any portion of that level.
Okay, so if we manage to keep high jump throughout that level, you can actually use it to gain a little bit of time saver right here at the start of this level. Oops. But we get high jump right here anyway.
The whole gimmick of 3-3 is essentially kind of a bit of a maze. There's this room here where you just have to wait through, essentially just a cutscene. But it's one of the shortest levels in the game, because once you know the exact order of doors you need to go through, there really isn't that much to it.
I missed that goal game. Goal games are very precise, like very misleading. I forgot how many frames it is in Nightmare and Dreamland, but the odds are the window to the goal games are slightly increased because of being able to click both the A and B button. I cannot speak.
We have another Meta Knight Arena juggle. This time, instead of wheel, we're going to be looking to keep high jump through it. If RioynerIs is not able to keep high jump through, and unlike wheel, you're actually able to use high jump to attack the enemies. It is tough, but you have to be up close to do most amount of damage. But still does make it a decent amount faster than the wheel fight.
I hate these Meta Knight arenas, by the way. This one's one of my least favorite ones.
Yeah, these Meta Knight arenas are some of the hardest parts of the game. If you do lose high jump there's an ability room in this game that allows you to easily re-grab high jump, but it loses about half a dozen or so, maybe a bit more seconds. So Reiner, able to keep high jump. So out there now, enter 3-5. Pretty easy level because you grab the candy here, and the level is so short that especially with high jump, you're pretty much able to get through most of the level while you still have the candy intact. Most importantly for this bonkers fight, because if you get through the level fast enough, which isn't that hard to do, you're pretty much able to melt bonkers because you're invulnerable.
I tried doing a fast trick through the blocks there, but I'm bad.
And finally, 3-6, one of the longer levels in this world.
Go for it.
This first hall room, the goal is to use high jump to knock out these crash enemies before they blow up, but you have to be very quick to be able to hit them. It's pretty punishing to do. So the more beginner-friendly strategy is sort of essentially wait them out.
There was the first crash kill is a 2-frame window. I don't know why I go for it, but it's fun if you get it. Oops.
So cutscene room there, and then continue using high jump to sort of just breathe through this level. We have a dark room here. There's actually light abilities that you can inhale, which will temporarily light the room up. So there's some invisible blocks around there that not really invisible, but you can't see them in the dark. But not too hard to get to, or not too hard to get through, especially once you know the layout of the room. And a whole bunch of high jump enemies here, so in case you do lose the ability at any point, you want to re-grab that, and you want to make sure that you end 3-6 with high jump. This is really important for the boss of the world, Mr. Shine and Mr. Bright.
Alright, we're gonna guess Moon, because everyone loves it when you guess Moon.
Alright,
and it was wrong.
Which side's gonna be first? Moon Crew? Oh, some gang. Alright, Reiner guessing wrong.
I usually...
Not too much. Oh, unfortunately getting hit there.
I usually...
You're able to melt these bosses very, very quickly at high jump.
Yes, high jump is very good against bosses. There's a 50-50 depending on 50-50 on which of the two, Sun or Moon, goes up first.
Alright, 4-1, or this world is called Grape Garden. Pretty interesting world, like a wide variety of stages, and we're gonna see a wide variety of abilities too.
Oh, that sucks.
You start off with high jump, and then you end up losing it there, unfortunately. But you will get high jump back by the end of the ability to use it for the boss of this world too. There is a mix in the last room of this game to grab wheel. There's two different setups you can do. Unfortunately, Reiner mixing the first setup, but there's two enemies in the back here that you can also mix wheel off of. Getting the second one, alright, very nice.
You know, I've not practiced the timings for those mixes in forever, so I'm surprised I was even close.
One thing about the mixes is not only the specific two enemies you need to start on a specific area, the order of which of the two enemies you inhale in the roulette also matters. So which of the one enemies essentially is like in front or behind each other.
Thankfully, this game has set mixes, or like set roulettes, unlike the next game in this marathon.
And 4-2, so keeping wheel for the first part of this level is essentially a new route addition. Unfortunately, losing spark there, so Reiner gonna go back and respawn.
I'm playing this a little safe.
Oh, getting through the gap. Alright, not bad. So the top level strat, essentially you use spark for this boss, and the top level strat is to mix off the corpses of the two enemies.
I'm not doing that. No way I'm not doing that.
Reiner's not going to be going for it. It's very advanced strat. He's not only going to do the mix, but also using wheel in the next level is very difficult. Yeah, a lot of the meta for this game as it's advanced, especially for 80%, really has been around keeping wheel for long periods of time, just because it is such a strong ability in speedrun. It's almost pretty simple. The wind actually does push you, so you go a lot faster. You should be a bit careful here. and then you can grab high jump towards the end of this room because it saves a bit of time at the end of the ship, but also in the last room of this game.
Oh.
This game is just constant go, 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 really.
Yeah.
There's a lot of quick ability cycling, there's a lot of, not too many gaps either. I mean, you got the bonus games and a couple of, cutscenes here and there, but it's pretty quick pace.
Really wish I practiced, or at least had time to practice, but it's whatever. Alright. Having wheel, if you have wheel in this level, it saves quite a bit of time for this first room right here. That's with the more advanced trick where you mix in 4-2.
You can mix in 4-2 and then keep it from 4-2 all the way to 4-4. There is a mix you can also do at the beginning of 4-4 to grab wheel. It is pretty tricky to do, and which is funny, you end up getting wheel in this level regardless, but you save so much time in the first and the second room just from using wheel that it still is worth trying to keep it throughout the earlier levels.
Yes. Oops.
But we're going to ditch wheel very quickly here so we can use Spark for Fan Fan. And we're going to want to avoid getting grabbed here. He will swing you around and throw you.
I don't like my health right now.
And then Spark is nice for both the boss, but also just for this last room. I'm going to be doing a bunch of these short hops in conjunction with Spark to get through the blocks as quickly as possible.
Oh, I can reset here. So resetting in this game is can just restore your health if you don't need an ability for the next level.
It only takes like 3, maybe 4 seconds or something to do a quick soft reset to get back all your health. And Reiner is actually playing on the Japanese cart of this game. And fun fact, the Japanese cart of this game and Kirby and the Amazing Mirror always soft resets 1 second faster as opposed to the North American version.
Which is very, very strange difference that no one knows why it is. Oops.
It actually matters in Catan because you reset a lot. You never technically need to reset in the speedrun, although you can at any point if you need to get health back. And which is helpful because some levels you're not going to get any health and you're probably going to want to enter with some.
If you're bad like me in this game, you're gonna reset a lot.
1 second? It is cheating. Seriously, no one really knows why.
Oh, that's a down warp that randomly happens with Permin in this level.
The only movement is very cool there, because it's essentially like a maze, but you can breeze through all the spike areas with careful burning movements. Because spikes also instantly destroy your ability, you need to be very careful with your placement.
Oops, go down.
But you can save a bit of time at the beginning of 4-6 by keeping it there.
These frogs are super RNG, so I'm opting to kill them. You can try dodging them, but it's... Oh. We want the sword ability here. Cycles are messed up. Oh, wow.
Well, unfortunately, I'm getting clipped by the hothead. Sometimes like to shoot fireballs while they're already off screen, so by the time they get into your sight, it's probably already too late. The sword melting TikTok there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, another dark room here, but you can see at least the key layout pretty easily.
Alright, we're gonna be picking up high jump in this room. And I'm also gonna be grabbing this health, because I don't remember how much I know about this game.
The next boss, Krakow, is pretty much designed around high jump, both the first and second phase of it. So you can get high jump, that's too faster to grab it here in 4-6, but they will also give it to you in the boss battle if you don't already have it.
There's the start of this level is just a climb up. We're going to want to try canceling our high jump as early as possible to maximize the time.
Yeah, you want to cancel just above the platform so you don't fall through, but it allows you to speed up drastically. The end time of high jump takes a while.
I was going for a harder strat where you use called like crack simuls, and where you try getting one hit, and it's a bit harder, but it saves quite a bit of time. Alright, we're in Yogurt Yard. This level we're using a variety of abilities.
We start off taking essentially the shortcut, and we're gonna grab stone, which allows us to get through quite a bit faster.
This is
And
the
really,
one.
you're only using stone just to get through this one room faster, but
That's
in
the last
this
time
one,
you see stone.
drop a lot quicker.
Something worth mentioning is that jumping, instead of just running, if you jump and run, it actually saves 1 frame, apparently. So, I'm gonna just be trying to jump whenever I can.
Yeah, on straightaway paths, especially if you have no ability, you're gonna be seeing a lot of little short hops or little tunnels. Also, fun little fact, you'll see whenever Kirby jumps, these little stars spawn around him, whether like in different corners. That actually affects the RNG in this game, which we at times can manipulate, but it's very, very hard to do in a very long category like this. It's only really possible in small areas. Or in
Boss
small scale.
endurance.
Like, yeah, boss endurance, or you can do a minute in the very first, 10 seconds of the first level. Reiner gonna re-enter so we can grab Ball. This is the first time you see Ball. One of the hardest abilities to use in this game, but also one of the best. By far one of the best abilities for bosses. They can absolutely melt them with a lot of damage, and there's a lot of different tech you can do. Like in this room, you sort of bounce off this small little area, allows you to launch up a lot quicker than you can float, and you can use Ball quickly to fall down. It's some vulnerability.
Oh, I missed the first
Ball
hit.
for this boss first fight, which we knocked out with 2 hits, but it did get a bit tricky. Depending on how you space, you essentially want to be able to hit the edges of the boss, otherwise you get too close to them, you'll end up getting hits.
Okay. My health is very sketchy, but I'm gonna not reset.
Doors
Oh,
the
wait.
real boss in this game, agreed.
It's this level.
They call him final boss for a reason.
Yeah.
Alright, so we're gonna ditch Ball here to re-grab high jump just for this next room, because, like, big vertical room like this, high jump is unbelievably strong.
I actually
Then
could.
we're gonna be ditching it for the next good ability wheel, of course.
I actually could have reset there, but I forgot what level this was.
Yeah, you can only reset if you don't need the ability you're carrying for the next one. Otherwise, you can be putting yourself in a bad position. Yeah, grabbing a wheel here. You cannot use wheel on these blocks, it breaks them and you just fall through. So he's going to be doing these little short hops with the wheel to save time in midair.
Oh, I died.
This last room with spikes with 1 health is very, very precarious.
You can do something called shaft turns to kind of get through it very quickly, but
Very optimal movement using wheel to sort of turn in midair to get through there. Very cool, but very, very difficult to do.
yes.
And 5-4, another Meta Knight arena, but thankfully we're not actually trying to juggle an ability this time, which makes it a lot easier. There is still a pattern you want to follow, because they spawn in a set pattern, so depending on the order you KO them, there's an optimal way to do it. But it's a lot easier when you're not trying to do that while juggling an ability. We do use burning for the first room here,
I forgot
just to get
all
these
that
spikes a
movement.
lot quicker, and to break through the blocks as well.
This is the Meta Knight arena. Gonna be trying to just kill these as quickly as can, but it just sucks. Oop, got that. That was almost perfect. Almost perfect.
Alright, and then I'm gonna grab this ball here.
Ball swag.
When the ball spawns the enemy, sometimes it can mess you up and go in the pit, or just essentially KO itself, but you need it here to do this nice ball movement we call ball swag.
Shouts to Rocks for that trick right there. That
And
ball
then the
ball
last
trick.
room here, able to just breeze past the enemies.
Okay.
Yeah, ball is very, very good. It's a very, very cool ability, but it's probably one of the tougher abilities in this game that you actually use properly.
Oh, definitely.
And Reiner's going to be trying to keep ball throughout the first bit of the stream in 5-5 so that he can use it for the Fireline midi-boss, using ball to get through those cannon shots right there. And then being very careful of the movement here.
Oops. Dang, I
Alright, good
dashed it
stuff.
there.
Then we get the Warp Star.
In this next room, we're gonna be fighting Fire Lion. With the ball, you're just gonna see them get absolutely shredded, so maybe don't mess up the movement. Yeah. Oh, I destroyed the corpse. That's fine, honestly. But
Yeah, so what you would typically do there is grab Burning from the Corpse of the Fire line, which you can use for this last room here. And then there's also an advanced strat. Looks like Reiner is going to... He does it. Alright, nice. So he picks off 2 enemies to grab Wheel here. You do grab Wheel on the next level, but even in this one room, you're able to save a lot of time by just quickly breezing past it.
oops.
Then 5-6 is a pretty simple level. We already have Wheel entering it, as you can see, and you need to be careful here. If you lose Wheel, you end up losing a lot of time.
Yes.
And also, if you lose Wheel at the very end of that level, you cannot respawn them. It's just the way the level works, and the fact that you cannot go back down the platforms.
I absolutely hated this level in 100% when I didn't know how to get through it, because I just always lose Hammer like in that little bit, and I just couldn't get Hammer back and have to reset.
And speaking of Hammer, Reiner's going to be doing a mix here off 2 wheels to get Hammer. Hammer is the first ability, so rather than having the time mix, he's essentially just going to be holding down and automatically getting it, which so makes it a lot easier than the other 4-frame windows. But Hammer is a lot better for this heavy wall here.
There's a lot of iframes in this boss. That was actually really good. Alright, that's World 5 done.
Orange Ocean is also a pretty tough world. It's one of the most different worlds in this game in the 100% category, but in any percent, the focus is still around keeping Wheel in particular for Orange Ocean for long periods of time.
This is my least favorite world in the game, followed by, okay, I forgot the timing there.
Oh, okay.
That's a sleep mix.
Unfortunately, Reiner not mixing for what he wanted there. All good though. So it's just gonna be grabbing the backup here, which is Burning. Burning's the more beginner friendly as opposed to having to do the mix.
I don't remember wheel movement, so I don't know why my brain decided to go for that mix.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like, even if you can pull off the wheel mix, the wheel movement here or in that room is probably a lot tougher than the actual Burning movement. So it's not just being good at the mix; it's also being good at the movement too. It's very tricky.
Oops.
And you're doing this to save small amounts of time, really.
I don't remember the movement here. Alright, that's honestly fine.
Running through. Ooh, getting hit at the end, but otherwise pretty clean. So, we're gonna grab High Jump for this one room, just so you can save a tiny bit of time at the end, and also gonna do a little bit of a shortcut around this door. Nope, I'm not gonna go for High Jump there, not a big deal. The best backup strat is either Tornado. Tornado is really beginner friendly. Burning also works here.
I probably should grab Tornado because I don't remember the movements.
Yeah, Tornado is probably the most common, like, beginner type route for any percent in this game. You can use Tornado pretty much from 6-2 all the way into pretty much the beginning of 6-5, or sorry, the beginning of 6-6 really. But yeah, the more advanced strats revolve around keeping Wheel. And what's funny is you can mix for Wheel in 6-1, you can also mix for it in 6-3, and to essentially do half and half of the different routes.
Alright. That's another death. I think it's third death? Third or fourth? You can...
Slightly mistimed on that.
I don't know why I grabbed that. Alright, I'm gonna go for... Alright, also nice. Alright, I used the stick for this game. That's actually horrible, because you can sometimes just get, Oh crap, I missed it. You can just sometimes get, get an absolutely, like, horrible backwards input. Or, like this, like, if you flick the stick too fast, you'll flick it the other way by accident. Alright, that makes this actually really easy, I'm just bad. Alright, this is bonkers. This is actually the best RMD I can get. And I still messed it up.
Yeah, essentially, you just want bonkers
Oh
to
my
not be
gosh.
in the corner, because otherwise you are going to get hit trying to do your wheel turns. Again, so you're invulnerable while using wheel, so you're able to go through the bars, but turning is when you are vulnerable, which is why it's really bad when they corner camp. Yeah, that mix that Reiner did is sort of a an option for getting wheel, assuming you don't get wheel in 6-1, or a backup.
Hey, I did the movement right.
Ooh, very nice. It's a little bit tricky on that one enemy. You sort of just get past.
Okay, I believe. Oh wait, not this level, but the level after this is where the World 6 takes a turn for the worst. Oops. Turn on, please.
Wheel very strong for 6-4 and 6-5. You need to be careful in a few areas, like the water areas, because if you get hit, you're going to lose your ability regardless. And there's a couple of those spikes, they just sort of toss around in a few places.
If you lose your ability in water, you just cannot get it back in this game, which is very unfortunate. So getting hit in water is very detrimental.
This coconut room, you need to memorize the order of the coconuts on the right so you can flow at the right times. And then even just in this last room where you're going down the hill, you save so much time using wheel compared to like any other ability.
Wheel is just very, very good.
And 6-5, at least in any percent, is pretty simple. And with wheel, most of the rooms you're able to breeze past. This first room, in fact, is actually the world record holder Miri has a whole variety of strategies to showcase for fast movement just for that one room.
I'll play a little bit safe because I don't want to get hit. And I'm not really playing good, so don't want to take any chances. Okay, this room wheel saves so much time. You can just breeze right through it. If you want to know how bad that room can be, play 100%. It is very horrible.
Yeah, 100%, especially for Orange Ocean, really changes the route a lot because 100% revolves around getting switches in different levels, and Orange Ocean has one in every single level. Alright, so we have the 6-6 infamous UFO room.
I successfully keeping wheel here is really good. Because it rarely happens. And yeah, usually cut to...
You want to keep an ability here just so you can do a double star strat. You're gonna wait for one of them to give you, one of the Frosties to give you a projectile, which is RNG by the way, they might not give you a projectile.
Oh, yeah.
And then whatever ability you have, whether it's wheel or UFO, you're just gonna use it for a double star to knock them both out at once. And we have the final Meta Knight arena here.
Oops.
Alright. Again, not doing this with an ability juggle, but because of the layout of the icy floor and just like the platforms in tight vicinities, it can be very tricky to maneuver. Not to mention, depending on how much health you have at this point, dying is a very strong possibility.
Alright, the world boss Meta Knight is very RNG heavy, and I'm going to be resetting because of that. It's essentially RNG if you get hit or not, and 99% of the time you get hit like 58 times. It's kind of horrible.
Yeah. Right before Meta Knight's a very common place to soft reset, because you can take a lot of damage in the arena. So Meta Knight, you can block your attacks at random. You essentially just want him to block attacks, and you can... That was really good.
I didn't need to reset.
Yeah, so in that case, he only took one hit. Like, Meta Knight was very, very friendly there. It was a good fight. But other times, he can just repeatedly block and kind of just troll, mess around.
This is the final world in the game.
Alright.
And...
So 7-1 isn't the most difficult level. There's a whole lot of enemies in close quarters, but you're able to breeze past most of it. The blocking is pretty slow. But 7-2 is a boss rush level, probably the most infamous level in this game for how many runs it can kill, considering how light a run it is and how difficult it is. And what Reiner's going to be doing in the last room, 7-1, is mixing for ball. Another mix where it's the first ability, so all you have to do is grab the two enemies and essentially just hold down, and you'll get the first ability on the roulette. There you go. So you mix off that stone and the sword enemy, and then you're able to get ball.
Alright.
Yes, 7-2.
This is a very scary level.
You can hit a shortcut to skip a couple of the bosses. You still have to deal with 4 of them, though.
And they are hard. Alright, for this first one, Sponkers, one of the easier ones in this level. Oh, okay. 3 health is not very good.
So all of the bosses take 3 hits to take out. And you need to be careful, because yeah, depending on the hitbox and hurtbox of the enemy, you kind of need to sort of like graze the side of them. or wait for them to be in patterns where they're in midair, so you can like hit them without as much chance of getting hit yourself.
Alright.
Nice hit on Bugsy there.
Alright, Fireland's the other easy one.
Yeah, Bonkers and Firelion, the first and the last, are the easier ones. Fan and Bugsy are the harder ones.
So we got out of there.
After the
We got out of there with only one hit off of us. That is very good, at least for me.
and grabbing burning off Firelion at the end, no longer need ball for now.
And we get healed. So that was actually really good. I was half expecting to like lose another year and a half.
Yeah, doing this level, if you die and have to do it powerless, is incredibly slow. And even if the abilities you get from the bosses are really not that effective in boss fights. I guess Bonkers is, but if you die that early, you're already in trouble.
Oh, I forgot. I never practiced this room. Ooh.
Yeah, 7-3 is Diamond Room. You need to have some very quick and specific movement to get here while avoiding the Bronco.
Oh my gosh. I'm trying to do a harder strat here because I didn't learn the easier strat. Oh no! Okay, whatever. I did this run without any practice, by the way. You cannot tell. That's fine.
Is what it is. You get the candy here, it makes it a lot easier. But yeah, you can save a bit of time in both 7-3 as well as the first half of 7-4 if you're able to keep running.
Okay.
And 7-4 coming up is another really tough level.
7-4 in the first room is one of the most bullcrap rooms in this game.
You're gonna do a soft reset. You don't get any health throughout 7-4, and there's a lot of enemies. It's very easy to get hit. Trying to do with 2 health is pretty much asking him to take a death at some point.
Alright, 3 health gone.
Even in this first room, it's a lot easier with burning, but
Wow.
you still need to be very familiar with the patterns. And in these clockwork rooms, the patterns you get from the enemies is very random and hard to work with.
What was that, 5 deaths? I prepared our Return to Dreamland for this game, for this marathon. So I tried doing a tech there for that game. Oh, that's not good.
Oh, unfortunately, yeah, you want to ideally grab a spark there, which allows you to save a bit of time in the movement in this final room. Also for the mini boss. Oh, okay, gonna go respawn spark. Not a bad idea, actually. So yeah, spark has been helpful for the movement for this last room. Gotta be careful with the crash enemy right there. But spark is also nice for 7-5.
Alright. Seven and a half, 5 here in the first room is gonna have a bunch of crash enemies that we're gonna just be using spark for to help destroy them. Which is one of the reasons we like spark.
You need spark on some, and you're gonna sort of wait out. Like sort of in that case, you're gonna wait out one of them.
And then we get wheel back. Alright, this room, probably should have practiced it. Basically, we want to just try to not get hit, ever. If we get hit, it's instant guaranteed death. But we got through it, so never mind. Oh.
Yeah, you do a wheel jump on the tunnels where the wind is pushing you down, and you just sort of let wheel carry you when the wind in the tunnels where the wind is pushing you upwards. But there's also a lot of enemies there, so if you take too much time, the odds of you getting hit is pretty high. 7-6, the nostalgia level modeled after Kirby's Dream Land with the green greens theme. Save a lot of time with using wheel throughout this level, and there's no power-ups at this level too. So
We want to carry wheel for as long as we can.
we're gonna do one final mix at the end to get ball right before DDD, but otherwise we want to keep wheel throughout this whole level if possible.
I'm actually going to grab this because I'm not confident how I'm playing. some of the levels, some of the rooms coming up are going to be very difficult. Like this one. This one has some RNG to it, with the kaboos and how they move. They can move on top of you and allow you to lose wheel. However, that was actually pretty good. And also, I'm not a fan of this room right here.
Spike, very punishing.
Alright, we're good.
The public cloud level, need to be careful here.
I
And then we're gonna mix off of, we're gonna wait for an enemy to, when the Paracel Ds to drop its umbrella, and then we're gonna mix off the two enemies there to try to get ball, which is the second ability on the roulette. So you need to wait just like half a second. Alright, and he gets it.
I'm notoriously usually really bad at that mix, but we thankfully got it here. Alright. Coming up is the final boss, is the boss to, World 7, King Deity. There's an advanced strat that I don't remember that I'm gonna go for, and I got the wrong RNG there anyway, so
Yeah.
that matter.
And DVD, you really sort of again, you want to stay sort of just stay in one spot so you can just sort of bounce up and down on just the edge of them.
You want to try when you use ball, you want to try clipping their hitbox as little as possible. And coming up is the final boss of this game. Time is coming up and pretty close.
Final boss is phase. Most of these Kirby games tend to end with at least some sort of like space shooter in the end. The first one against this orb is, yeah, just dodging shots while trying to do as much damage as possible. And the second one is actually against the wizard, but this is more of like the space shooter part. A really good orb fight will allow you to KO the orb before it charges to the left side of the screen.
Oh, almost got it.
Very close. Ideally, you stay like really up close to the orb, and you're just kind of like drifting as it moves and constantly landing hits, but it's pretty hard.
I might be actually ahead of estimate. Okay, so after this fight is gonna be time.
Time ends on the last fight on the wizard. It should take 6 shots, but depending on what actual hits, it could take more.
Should I go for early hit? I'm gonna go for early hit.
Go for all the early hits, do it.
Alright, so this fight is pretty much set. There's no RNG to. I missed a hit already.
Yeah, so it is set, so ideally you can do it within the first 6 points when Wizard is vulnerable. Also, depending on what hit, like these star shots do more. You can also damage Wizard by like just jumping with the star rod, but it does a lot less damage.
I got the wrong, got a float.
Yeah, it's double hit. Looks like still probably 3 more shots. Alright, 2.
How did I miss?
Yeah, the hitbox on Wizard can be a little bit deceiving. You don't just need to hit, like, the white part, you generally need to hit the upper part of it, too.
Oh my gosh!
Oh yeah, in
It's so
situations like
close.
that where it's barely visible and your shots just bounce off.
There we go. Alright, time. That was a very, very bad run. Alright, I'm actually going to be running the next game as well. So I'm not sure how that'll all work. The time was 46:54, probably 53. My PB is 39:58, so you know, a good 4-minute deficit.
You mean 7 minute?
7 minute. I can't count. That's alright.
Doing a small break before the next round.
Gotcha.
Appreciate you giving that a run for us, Ryo. And Ryo, like like he said, it's going to be running the next game as well. So I'm going to get everything set up for that. We'll give him a little break and be right back. Before we go for that break, I want to thank Mute for the $3 donation. I really appreciate that. Thank you. And Tank for the $150 donation. Wish I could have played. Hope everyone has a great time. Hey, no worries. Thank you for the donation and thank you for giving me a heads up. But you hooked it. Hey, Mute. Every penny helps. It counts all the same, my friend. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get everything set up. Y'all enjoy the music. We'll be right back.